Welcome back, everybody. Today's Deep Dive takes us right into the heart of Tata Motors.
Yeah.
Using their recent Q2FY25 earnings call transcript.
Okay.
So we're going to really unpack their performance.
Right.
What's
Yeah.
coming down the pipeline for them.
Yeah.
And it's a crazy time for the entire auto industry right now, right?
Well, sure.
Global shifts.
Absolutely.
Supply chains are all messed up.
Yep.
The whole EV revolution.
It's a lot.
Yeah. And Tata Motors is right smack in the middle of it all.
Absolutely.
And one of the things I think is really interesting about them, right?
Yeah.
Is they have this legacy of traditional vehicles, right? But they're also making this big push towards electric vehicles.
Yeah.
And they've got these iconic brands too.
Totally.
Jaguar, Land Rover.
Yeah.
And we can't really talk about this earnings call without addressing, the passing of Mr. Ratan Tata.
Absolutely.
It was right before this call.
Right.
And the company took time to pay tribute to him, acknowledge his incredible contributions to building this global giant.
Yeah, what a legacy, right?
Huge shoes to fill.
Oh, sure.
But let's kind of dive into, how each of their business segments are doing.
Okay.
Navigating this crazy complex world.
Yeah, let's start with Jaguar Land Rover, JLR.
Okay, so JLR, they posted their 9th straight quarter of positive EBIT.
Wow.
Earnings before interest and taxes.
Okay.
So basically means they're making money from their core business operations.
Right.
Which is really impressive when you think about all the supply chain chaos that they've been dealing with.
For sure. It really speaks to the power of their brand, know?
Yeah.
They're resilient.
Yeah.
And actually, they specifically called out a flood at one of their aluminum suppliers, Novely.
Okay.
And that really hit Range Rover production hard.
Wow.
And then on top of that, they had to temporarily hold back around 6,000 vehicles.
Okay.
Mostly in the UK and EU.
Okay.
Because of a quality issue.
Got it.
So those are all going to get rolled into Q3 sales.
Okay, so it's like a little speed bump.
Yeah.
But they're powering through.
They are.
One of the things I thought was really interesting was how JLR is performing differently in different markets.
Oh, yeah.
So they're seeing strengths in the U.S.
Okay.
But things are a little bit shaky in China.
Yeah, it's a little all over the place right now.
Yeah.
Dealer insolvencies.
Oh, wow.
Demand is softening, especially in the premium segment.
Right.
It kind of reminds you that even these giants like Tata Motors,
yeah,
they're not immune to market pressures.
Yeah.
You know?
Definitely something to watch.
Totally.
But, hey, they're getting ready for this big relaunch of the Jaguar brand in Miami next month.
Oh, wow. Really?
Yeah. So maybe a fresh start.
Cool.
Yeah.
Let's see what they do. Now let's shift gears and talk about their commercial vehicles segment.
Okay.
It's a whole different animal.
Right. And I think this is where those broader economic trends really start to show. So the commercial vehicle industry in India, it actually shrunk by 11% this quarter.
Wow.
Infrastructure projects are slowing down. Mining is taking a dip.
Yeah, and it's fascinating how Tata's responding to that.
Yeah.
They're not just looking at the surface numbers. They're digging deeper.
Okay.
They're actually tracking stuff like how many kilometers vehicles are driving each day.
Wow.
Which has also dropped a lot.
Interesting.
So they're connecting the dots, right?
Yeah.
Between fewer kilometers being driven, which means less diesel is being used.
Yeah.
And that could point to a wider economic slowdown.
They're economic detectives.
Exactly.
That's amazing.
And it seems like it's working for them, right? Because even though the whole industry is kind of slumping, Tata commercial vehicles, they actually did better than the rest.
Wow.
They held on to their market share.
Okay.
And they hit double-digit EBITDA, so their profit margins are looking good.
That's really impressive.
It is.
They also talked a lot about how they're focusing on digital stuff.
Yeah.
Their Fleet Edge platform.
Right.
Helps businesses manage their truck fleets.
Yeah, like so.
Plus, they're making some real progress with electric buses.
Okay.
And the Ace EV.
Right.
Their little electric commercial truck.
Cool.
Although they did say that they've had some bumps in the road with the FME2 subsidies.
Right.
Which is India's program for incentivizing electric vehicles.
Oh, so it's they're trying to climb a mountain, but someone keeps moving the base camp.
Yeah, exactly.
That's tough.
And speaking of navigating tricky situations, let's move on to Tata passenger vehicles.
Okay.
Where the Indian market's going through its own little slowdown.
Right.
So Tata passenger vehicles, they had to kind of strategically slow down their offtakes.
Okay.
Which means they basically slowed down how many vehicles they were sending out to dealers.
Right.
To avoid having too much inventory.
Yeah, smart move in a slow market.
Yeah.
But there are some bright spots, right?
Oh, yeah.
They had a really good festive season in October.
Oh.
Record monthly registrations.
So maybe things are turning around.
Yeah, maybe.
Okay.
And plus, their Punch model has been a big hit.
Yeah.
And they're still #1 in the EV segment.
Wow.
Even with all this competition popping up.
So they're becoming like a real EV powerhouse in India.
Totally.
Though the fact that those FAME2 incentives went away for the fleet segment, that's definitely hurting them a bit.
Yeah, for sure.
But hey, they've got some exciting new launches coming up.
Oh, yeah.
The Curve and the Nexon CNG.
Cool.
They didn't say too much about them yet.
Okay.
But it sounds like they're creating a lot of buzz.
Well, we'll have to dive into those later.
For sure.
Okay, so we've talked about how each of their business units is doing.
Yeah.
What about the big picture?
Yeah.
The overall industry outlook.
Yeah. Where does Tata Motors see things going from here? It sounds like they're kind of cautiously optimistic.
Yeah.
They know there's some uncertainty in the Indian market in the short term, but
right.
Those strong festive sales and the government investing in infrastructure, that's giving them some hope.
Yeah. And for JLR,
yeah,
they're thinking things will bounce back pretty well in the second half of the year.
Okay.
As those supply chain problems smooth out.
Right.
But they're also keeping an eye on what's happening with demand globally.
Yeah. Makes sense with all the economic uncertainty we're hearing about everywhere.
For sure.
Like trying to predict the weather during hurricane season.
Totally. So with all these challenges and opportunities coming at them, what's their plan?
Yeah. What are they going to focus on in the future?
Let's break it down by segment, starting with commercial vehicles.
Okay.
They're all about introducing new models, making their trucks and stuff even more appealing to businesses.
Okay.
And dealing with financing issues.
Got it.
Especially for those smaller commercial vehicles.
So basically, they're trying to make it easier for companies to buy their trucks and vans.
Exactly. Which is smart with the economy being what it is.
Yeah, for sure.
Now, Tata passenger vehicles, they're all about growing their retail sales, getting more dealerships out there, making EVs more mainstream, and cutting costs wherever they can to keep those profits up.
So they're really covering all their bases, huh?
Yep. Hitting the market from every angle.
What about JLR?
Yeah.
They're facing some pretty tough competition, especially with all the new EVs coming out.
Totally. They're going all in on their reimagine strategy.
Okay.
Pouring money into EVs and developing new models.
Okay.
But they're not naive about China. They know they need to change things up over there.
It's interesting how they're trying to do both, right?
Yeah.
Keep the regular engines going, but also go big on electric.
It's a tough balancing act, for sure. Speaking of balancing, let's talk about their finances. Tata Motors still wants to be net debt-free by the end of the year.
That's a big goal, especially with all the money they're investing.
Yeah, it is. And JLR, they're sticking with their prediction of 30 billion pounds in revenue.
Okay.
EBIT margin, that's earnings before interest and taxes, of at least 8.5%.
Okay.
And staying net cash positive.
Okay.
But they did admit that things are getting a little tight because of the market.
So they're walking a tightrope. It's all about managing risk.
Exactly. So let's talk about risk. What are some things that could trip them up?
Well, they were pretty straight up about the global economy being a bit shaky right now.
Yeah.
And how that could hurt demand for cars.
Right.
That's a big question mark hanging over everything.
And we can't forget about China.
Yeah.
Those issues with the dealerships and the competition heating up. That's something to watch for sure.
And then there's the prices of raw materials and battery cells. Those are always going up and down.
Oh, yeah. Always a wild card in this industry. So it looks like Tata Motors has got their work cut out for them.
Yeah.
Trying to grow, stay financially solid, and keep an eye on all those risks.
It's a lot. But what I was really impressed by was how committed they are to sustainability.
Oh, yeah.
Especially that goal of being net carbon zero by 2039.
That's a big one. It shows they're really thinking about the future. But I'm curious, how do they compare to other car companies when it comes to sustainability?
Yeah.
Are they leading the way or playing catch up?
Yeah, that's a really good question.
Yeah.
And it's not just about what they say their goals are right.
Right.
It's about how they're actually making it happen across all their different parts of the business.
Yeah, let's start with JLR.
Okay.
Their plan to have an electric version of every model by 2030.
Okay.
With Jaguar going all electric by 2036.
Yeah.
That's pretty ambitious.
Yeah, those are some tight deadlines.
Yeah.
Especially since they're still so focused on the regular gas engines.
Yeah. It's a tough balance. And remember Richard, their CFO.
Yeah.
He did seem a little worried about their financial predictions.
Right.
Like, they don't have a ton of wiggle room.
Yeah.
All that EV tech is expensive.
It's not cheap.
No.
So it's like they're trying to invest in the future, but also make sure things are okay right now.
Exactly.
Financially.
Yeah.
And, of course, like, China could really mess things up.
For sure.
If that market keeps going downhill, it could, like, totally derail everything.
Yeah, it just reminds you that sometimes things happen that you can't control.
Yeah.
But I think it's cool that they're admitting that there are risks and that they might need to change their plans.
Yeah, they're being honest about it.
Yeah.
Not just hoping for the best.
Yeah.
Like, remember what Girish said?
Yeah.
From Tata Commercial Vehicles.
Yeah.
He was talking about how they're focused on making their trucks better for businesses.
Right.
And fixing those financing problems. Especially for the smaller trucks.
Yeah.
They're not just sitting around, they're actually trying to solve the problem.
Totally proactive.
Yeah.
And you see that same energy in their passenger vehicle plans, too.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I thought Shailisha's comments about making EVs more normal in India were really interesting.
Yeah.
Getting more dealerships, educating people about EVs.
Yeah.
Building more charging stations. That's all super important to get people to actually buy electric cars.
It's like a two-pronged attack, right?
Yeah.
Make sure the cars are there and make sure people want them.
Exactly. And don't forget, they're still really focused on cutting costs.
Oh, yeah. Across the board.
Yeah. Every part of the business.
In the car world, saving money is like everything.
Totally. It frees up cash to do more research.
Yeah.
Develop cool new stuff.
Uh-huh.
Expand into new markets, all that good stuff.
So it's kind of like they're playing chess, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Thinking about every move, trying to guess what their competitors will do.
Yeah.
But the stakes are high.
Oh, yeah.
The whole car industry is changing like crazy.
It is.
Only the companies that are quick and smart will make it.
It's definitely a wild time to be watching Tata Motors.
Yeah.
They've got some tough stuff to deal with.
Yeah.
But they're also showing that they're tough.
Yeah.
They're strategic, and they actually care about making things better for the environment.
Yeah.
It's exciting to see what they do next.
Yeah. It's a story that's still being written. We'll definitely be keeping an eye on it.
For sure.
And we hope you all will too, our listeners.
Yeah.
Keep watching Tata Motors and the whole car industry.
Absolutely. This is a big shift that's going to affect all of us.
Yeah. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.